My name is Tutu-Brempong, and today I'm presenting on humanitarian logistics in disaster management, innovations and lessons for commercial supply chains. Today I'm going to look at 4 things: the foundation of humanitarian logistics, disasters as drivers of innovation, innovation in humanitarian logistics, and lesson for future supply chains. The foundation of humanitarian logistics. The global environment is no longer stable and predictable as it was designed to be. Disruptions happen almost every year, and commercial supply chains struggle in this crisis, whereas humanitarian logistics are doing successful. Therefore, understanding how innovation happens in humanitarian logistics is essential to strengthen commercial supply chains, making them more agile, resilient, and sustainable. Key definitions. Humanitarian supply chain is defined as the planning, implementing, and controlling of the efficient and cost-effective flow of goods and materials and related information from the point of origin to the point of consumption, with the purpose of alleviating the suffering of vulnerable people. Whereas commercial supply chain is designed to maximize profitability and performance across stable demand environments. Innovation can be understood through the 4P innovation concepts, which classify under process, position, product, and paradigm. Looking at commercial supply chain and humanitarian supply chain side by side, commercial supply chains are profit-driven. They work in stable and predictable environments, and they rely on efficiency and cost minimization, also rely in just-in-time. Whereas humanitarian supply chain are need-driven, they work under unpredictable and uncertainty demand. They rely on just-in-case and are more resilient and agile. Supply chain. Let's watch a video on humanitarian supply chains.
Supply chain is an interconnected system involving flows of goods, people, data, and funds. High-performing and resilient supply chains are the lifeline for economic development and growth in countries. Equally, they ensure societies and communities are more resistant towards shocks and disruptions when natural disasters or man-made conflicts cause humanitarian crises. Supply chain and logistics is the backbone of humanitarian operations to ensure affected people survive and receive relief assistance. In the humanitarian context, the supply chain includes different phases, starting with activities to build resilience, strengthen capacities, and prepare for future operations. When a disaster strikes, the assessment and planning phases determine the humanitarian program that needs to be carried out. The actual operation phase begins through the mobilization of resources and sourcing of commodities, which are shipped and distributed to the affected population.
Disaster. Disaster is defined as the serious disruption of the functioning of the society, which leads into the widespread of humans and material, and also causes them to not be able to fend on their own resources. And we have the types of disasters which are classified under 2: the natural disaster and then the man-made. Natural disaster examples like earthquake, floods, and then the man-made disaster we have the cyber attack and the terrorist attacks. Let's look at this video on logistical challenges and disasters.
When disaster strikes, time is of the essence. Humanitarian aid needs to reach those affected as quickly as possible, but behind the scenes, there are immense logistical challenges. One of the biggest challenges is the damaged infrastructure. Roads, bridges, and airports are often destroyed or overwhelmed, making it difficult to get supplies to those who need them most. Moving essential goods through customs, securing transportation, and managing storage all take time that people in crisis don't have. Effective coordination and communication are vital. Multiple organizations work together, often in remote areas with limited connectivity, to ensure that aid is delivered efficiently. Security is another major issue. In conflict zones, protecting both aid workers and supplies is essential, but it can also slow down operations. Despite these challenges, technology is offering new solutions. From drones that can deliver supplies to remote areas, to apps that track deliveries in real time, innovation is helping to.
All right. Disaster management. It is the process by which societies prepare for, respond to, and recover from disaster. Disaster management life cycle includes mitigation, which is what we do before disasters occur, preparedness, which is the anticipation, which includes planning, training, and then we have response, which is the immediate action taken few days or hours before when disasters occur. And then recovery, which is the long-term effort to rebuild whatever is lost. Ports as critical nodes in disaster response. So ports resilience go beyond just the physical infrastructure. So now for a port to be able to survive disruption, it has to have these 6 dimensions. And then looking at this diagram, we can see that the standard commercial port is leaned towards infrastructure and cargo handling. But when you look at the resilient humanitarian gateway, there is a balance between the 6 dimensions. So disasters as catalysts for innovation. Examples of global disaster, we have the Haiti earthquake, where the main seaport was crippled and it brought about innovations like the UN cluster. We have an example like the Pakistan flood, where roads and roads were covered and then led to innovations like the multiple modal system, which is the port, truck, train, helicopter, and then the Nepal earthquake, which brought about port authority coordination. Then looking at port disruptions, an example is the Beirut port explosion, which destroyed the grain reserves and brought about innovation like the direct cash assistance and then the emergency flood chain. And also we have the Suez Canal blockage, also leading to digital tracking for delay predictions, etc. And health emergency example is the Ebola and then the COVID-19 pandemic, which brought about real-time tracking and visibilities among many others. Conflict zone example is the Yemen conflict, Ukraine war, which also brought about war risk insurance. Innovations in humanitarian logistics. So humanitarian logistics is not just about responding to disasters, but it is a source of innovation. And then innovation can be understood using the 4 Ps framework of innovation. Product innovation, which is the introduction of new materials, new products and technologies. And then we have the process, which focus on improving how things are done. And then we have the position, which is changing how technologies is being applied. And then lastly, the paradigm innovation, which is the fundamental shift in thinking. AI and machine learning, which is an example of innovation which aid in congestion prediction, which helped in identifying bottlenecks. We have the demand forecasting, which helps in forecasting the number of food items and relief materials needed. We have the supplier risk assessments, which helps to evaluate the exposure of operational risks to suppliers, and then the digital twins. Let's look at this video on artificial intelligence.
But in a crisis, speed and precision decide outcomes. In humanitarian operations, every minute matters. That's where AI changes the game. The AI Summit team met with Nana Kalu Emba, ICT for Development expert at UNFPA at the AI Summit New York. He is advancing AI-powered logistics to save lives. Traditional operations depend on outdated spreadsheets and stale data. Supplies move late and miss the mark. In Nigeria and South Sudan, people can be registered, but food, medicine, and essentials still get stuck. AI flips the model. Predict first. Act earlier. Orchestrate delivery with real-time intelligence. We need data that drives action. In flood-prone Mozambique, pilots ingest satellite imagery, social signals, and inventory data to forecast risk and direct aid. If roads fail, AI proposes alternatives. If populations shift, plans rebalance stock in near real time. This results in less waste and fewer stockouts. The impact is measurable. Smarter pre-positioning, lower logistics costs, and stronger resilience through real-time visibility. Data poverty and weak connectivity demand engineering for reality. Apps that work without internet and sync when available. Lightweight models and selective data capture keep operations running in remote or unstable environments. When AI recommends, we use humans to verify and experts decide. Privacy is protected. Do no harm is the mandate, with transparent, accountable systems. The horizon is prevention. AI can forecast drought and flood risk, position supplies early, enable safe evacuations, reinforce infrastructure. We get ROI in real time, and we know that better forecasting reduces waste, that optimized routes cut costs, and that visibility improves decisions. Applied responsibly, AI delivers the right aid to the right place at the right time and empowers teams to act before catastrophes.
Right. So we have another example, which is the blockchain technology. And this aids in transparency, which reduces fraud, supply tracking, which helps in real-time tracking of supplies, making sure that they move from the point of origin to destination successfully. We have the digital identity, which helps to secure the information or records of beneficiaries. And then we have the cash transfer, which helps in accountable humanitarian payments. The next example is drones and the unmanned aerial vehicles, and then this aided in medical deliveries, helping to transport medical relief items to these vulnerable people. We have disaster assessments, which helped in assessing the severity of these disasters, and then also the search and rescue, which helped in providing information for better decision making. And then we have the last mile distribution, which helped to distribute relief items to isolated communities when roads and other means of transportation get destroyed. And let's look at a video on the drones.
Imagine drones as lifelines in disaster-stricken areas, where their advanced technology assists in critical humanitarian efforts. These unmanned systems are now being deployed to provide essential support in search and rescue operations, damage assessment, and aid distribution. Their ability to navigate challenging conditions and deliver aid effectively makes them invaluable tools in disaster relief and recovery missions.
Next is a modular logistics system, which is mobile and scalable systems, where we have the mobile warehouses, which helps to store supplies close to these vulnerable people for easy distribution. And then we have the portable communication centers, which helps in connectivity, and then also the floating logistics hubs, which serves as a temporal port when ports are being destroyed. And then we have the temporal hospitals, which also provide health care close to these vulnerable people. So building a future-ready supply chain. So it is essential to shift from lean to agile. The lean supply chains focus on efficiency, cost reduction, and then use minimal inventory, whereas the agile supply chains are focused on flexibility and are more resilient, also use just in case, and they operate in unpredictable and uncertain environments. So this is an illustration of the movement from lean to agile. And then you have the fragile efficiency, which is the lean, and then you have the robust adaptability, which is the agile. And then you can see the break when it comes to the lean. So risk diversification. So when disruption happens at one location, it is easy for it to shift to the other supply chains. Therefore, it is essential to spread operations across multiple suppliers and routes and also location. Digital transformation is transforming both commercial and humanitarian supply chain, and then it strengthens them to make them more resilient and agile. Also, there's a need for collaboration, because when disasters happen, a single organization cannot manage this alone. Therefore, there is a need for government and then humanitarian agencies and private sectors to come together and work in this crisis. The convergence. We can see now in the recent era that commercial supply chain and humanitarian supply chain are being more resilient and then agile. And the future-ready supply chain depends on the combination of both efficiency and then agility. In conclusion, humanitarian logistics has spent decades trying to survive in this crisis. Commercial supply chain is also now becoming more agile and resilient. And then a future-ready supply chain depends on not just efficiency, but a supply chain that remains effective when the system fails.